Welcome back to Saad's TV, everyone. Today, we're going to be looking at that disaster movie, Greenland.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the one where the comet's on a collision course with Earth?
Right, not just passing by. This is an extinction-level event we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting about Greenland is how it contrasts,
Hmm.
that, vast cosmic scale of this disaster
Yeah.
with this very intimate and personal story
Right.
of one family just trying to survive.
Exactly. It's not just some faceless global catastrophe. We're right there with John Alley and their son Nathan, going through it with them.
I like how they start with this really normal family gathering.
Yeah.
And then it quickly becomes this fight for their lives.
Remember those news reports about the comet clerk? It starts out as like scientific curiosity, and then, this is bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like very quickly.
Yeah.
The film captures that slow burn dread perfectly.
Yeah. And then you have this whole mystery surrounding those presidential alerts
Yeah.
that only John seems to be getting.
Right.
You're immediately like, okay, what is the government not telling us?
Exactly. It's brilliant storytelling. That sense of mystery just draws you in. And then just when you think you have a handle on things, boom, the first comet fragment hits Earth. It obliterates a major city, Florida, I think.
Yeah. Talk about setting the stakes.
Right.
Suddenly it's not some abstract threat anymore. It's real. It's terrifying. And it sets off this chain reaction of societal breakdown. Honestly, this is one of the most compelling parts of the film.
Absolutely. Like looting the traffic jams, the desperate scramble for access to that military airbase. It shows just how fragile civilization can be when we're faced with a threat like this.
Oh, and speaking of the airbase,
Yeah.
that airport scene, just heartbreaking. I mean, the sheer panic and desperation
Yeah.
as that base is overrun by these huge crowds. John just barely escapes the exploding plane.
Oh, yeah.
But even more than that, the forced separation of the family. Because Nathan has diabetes.
That scene really gets you thinking about the impossible choices that people might have to make in a situation like that. Who gets to survive? What criteria are used to determine who's worthy of saving?
Yeah.
It's a heavy ethical dilemma, and the film doesn't shy away from it.
No, it doesn't.
Not at all.
Yeah. So from there, the movie takes us on these two, parallel journeys. You have John, who's desperately trying to reach the airbase.
Yeah.
And then you have Allie, who's facing her own terrifying ordeal.
It's a really interesting way to show us how differently people react when they're under pressure.
Right.
Like on the one hand, you have John, he's resourceful, but he's also becoming more brutal in his fight for survival.
Yeah. He's not winning any Mr. Nice Guy awards, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
But he's doing what he has to do.
Right. Even if it means pushing other people aside.
Yeah. And then you have Allie, who runs into that armed gang while she's trying to get Nathan to safety.
Oh, man.
Talk about a nightmare scenario.
That scene is so chilling because it really highlights what can happen. When society breaks down,
Yep.
all the rules go out the window. People just start doing whatever they want.
You start to think about how you would react.
All right.
If you were in that kind of situation.
Would you be able to stick to your morals?
Yeah.
Or would you just do whatever it takes to survive?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the answer.
It makes you think.
But you know what really struck me about Allie is just how resilient she is, especially as a mother.
Yeah.
Like, after everything she went through, her determination to protect Nathan never wavered.
It speaks to that incredible power of a mother's love.
Yeah.
You know, that instinct to protect your child from harm, even when the world is falling apart around you.
And despite all of their struggles, John and Allie eventually find their way back to each other,
Yeah, they did.
which I think shows us the strength of those family bonds.
That no matter what happens, family is always there.
Yeah. And that reunion scene
Mm.
with John and Allie embracing in the middle of all that chaos. It's just so emotionally charged.
It gets you right in the feels.
It really does. And then the scene with Allie's father, who chooses to stay behind. Oh, man. It's just heartbreaking.
It really is. But it just emphasizes how much people are willing to sacrifice for the ones they love.
Absolutely. And then finally, after all of that, they make it to Canada.
Yeah.
But they're racing against time to catch a plane as that planet-killing comet fragment is headed straight for Earth.
Talk about a nail-biting climax.
Oh, no.
The movie does such a good job at building the suspense in those last few moments.
Yeah.
The visual effects, the music, you really feel like the world is about to end.
You're on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely.
And they do make it to Greenland, right
They do.
into that underground shelter.
Just in the nick of time.
Just in time.
And as they're huddled there together, listening to the world above them, literally crumble, you really get a sense of both relief and just utter despair. I mean, they survived, but what kind of world are they coming back to?
Right. It's that question. What now? That really stays with you. Long after the credits have rolled,
It does.
we see them emerge from that shelter 9 months later. They're stepping out into this devastated landscape.
It's hard to even imagine.
Cities are in ruins. The sky is filled with dust. But there's this one image that I can't get out of my head. It's this lone bird flying through the debris.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
That image is just so powerful.
It really is.
It's like a symbol of hope.
A symbol of resilience.
Yeah.
That even after all this destruction, life finds a way.
And it speaks to that underlying message of the film, that even in the darkest of times, there's always a chance for renewal.
For rebuilding. For finding a way forward.
Greenland really leaves you with a lot to think about.
It does.
It's not just about the spectacle of the disaster, it's about humanity.
Right.
Like our capacity for both good and evil, for love and sacrifice.
And for hope.
Yeah, for finding hope, even when everything seems lost.
Exactly.
It's more than just a disaster movie.
It is.
It's a story about what it means to be human.
About facing our own mortality and finding meaning in the face of the unknown.
Well said. If you haven't seen Greenland, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a thrilling, emotional roller coaster of a film that will definitely stay with you. And you know what really gets me about that ending? It's not like neatly tied up in a bow. It leaves you with this question of what happens next.
Yeah.
They survived, but they're stepping into this completely different world, a world where everything they once knew is gone.
It makes you wonder how you would even start to rebuild society, like from scratch. What would be the most important thing?
What values would you focus on?
Right.
What kind of future would you even try to create?
It's a question that goes way beyond science fiction.
It does.
It makes us think about our ideas about civilization, about progress, about what really matters.
Greenland really throws a lot of heavy stuff at you.
It does.
But it does it in a way that really makes you think.
And it doesn't give you any easy answers.
No, it doesn't, which I appreciate.
It lets you come to your own conclusions.
And I think that's why it sticks with you.
It really does.
It makes you question things.
It plants these seeds of doubt
Yeah.
and wonder that stay with you long after the movie's over.
For anyone who loves disaster movies, but wants something with a little more depth, Greenland is definitely worth watching.
It's an emotional roller coaster that will leave you thinking about it for days.
What did you think? What parts of the movie really stood out to you?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
Did it change your perspective on anything?
And here's something else to think about.
Okay.
If you were in that situation, facing a global catastrophe,
Oh, wow.
what would be your top priority?
That's a great question.
Would you do whatever it takes to survive?
Would you try to protect the people you love?
Or maybe try to save some of humanity's knowledge?
Or culture?
It's a question that makes us examine our own values.
It really does.
And even though we hope you never have to face something like that,
Yeah.
it's a good reminder that sometimes it's when we face the unimaginable that we figure out what's truly important.
Well said. That's our look at Greenland.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for going on this journey with us through a world on the brink of destruction.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those imaginations firing.
See you next time.